When it comes to Metal Gear Solid, Konami really skimped out on the 8th generation of consoles. After the release of MGS5, they put this out, but the entire back catalog of Metal Gear was completely unplayable on the PS4, excluding streaming. Not to mention, they delisted the second and third titles digitally on all platforms for over a year and a half before they finally announced that there would be a new collection bringing the first 3 games to modern platforms. So in October, these games will grace the 9th generation and even PC. But I've always been fascinated with the platforms Metal Gear wound up on up to this point. It feels borderline random on its face, and to this day, there's still only one console that can play all mainline entries. So indulge me for a moment and let's take a look at Metal Gear Solid's weird-ass platform release map. We'll mostly be covering the games directed by Kojima with a few mentions for some of the other entries. The first game is pretty straightforward. Obviously it released first on the PlayStation, and thus you could play it on the PS2 and PS3, but it also got a PC release in the year 2000, making it one of 3 Kojima Metal Gear games to be released on the platform. There was also a remake of the first game that was exclusive to the GameCube, oddly enough. From what I can tell, the decision of who would develop it came first, and since Silicon Knight's previous game released on the GameCube, Konami decided to roll with it. There had technically been a Metal Gear on a Nintendo console before with Snake's Revenge, so they had worked with Nintendo before, and this wouldn't be the last time. Metal Gear Solid 2 was initially released on the PS2. As a result, it's also playable on certain PS3s, often referred to as Fat PS3, but later versions of the console weren't able to play PS2 games. I don't know if this is super common knowledge, but MGS2 was actually ported to the original Xbox in 2002, and then ported to PC the following year. But good luck getting a copy of that. MGS2 was later part of an HD collection, but we'll come back to this once we get through the other games in the collection. MGS3 is an odd one. Much like the second game, it first released on PS2 and was later playable on fat PS3s, but then in 2012 it wound up on the Nintendo 3DS. My best guess is they wanted to try another portable release after Peace Walker. And Nintendo had been making a killing in portable consoles for a while now. This version actually had some significant differences to the other versions, including crouch walking, a different model for Snake, and Yoshi's! Of all the games in this list, Metal Gear Solid 4 has to be the most restricted. PS3 only. No ifs, ands, buts, nothing. I think it was on PlayStation Now for a while, but we're excluding streaming platforms here. Peace Walker also only released on one platform, but was later brought to other platforms in the HD collection, which also had Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. The collection was released on the PS3, the Vita, and the Xbox 360. Unlike MGS2 on the original Xbox, these games are backwards compatible with all subsequent Xbox consoles. I do also want to mention Metal Gear Rising here, if for no other reason than the fact that in addition to its release on PS3, 360, and PC, it seems to be the only game in the series that was officially brought to the Mac. And then we have Metal Gear Solid 5, which came out on everything, except for the Wii U, I guess. It even came out on PS3 and Xbox 360 in 2015, which means the only console that can play every single mainline Metal Gear game is the PS3, a console that's over 15 years old, and that's not going to change anytime soon. There are rumors of MGS4 and some of the other games coming in a Volume 2 of this Masters Collection, but nothing's confirmed yet. Hell, I'm not even sure this first volume isn't just an elaborate prank. We are talking about Konami after all.
You just got pranked!
Tangents aside, you can also play most of these games on any Xbox starting with the 360, with the exception of MGS1 and MGS4. But if you've got a computer that's slightly more sophisticated than a literal potato, you should be able to play MGS1 there. As for MGS4, it's kind of a slog. I wouldn't worry about it. And if you've got a ton of consoles sitting around, you could, for example, play the first game on the GameCube, Sons of Liberty on the original Xbox, Snake Eater on the 3DS, Guns of the Patriots on the PS3, Peace Walker on the Vita, Rising on a Mac, and MGS5 on PC. And 4 of those platforms only have the one game on them. All that said, I look forward to these games finally being available on PC and particularly on Steam, as the first 2 were only available on GOG originally, and hopefully Volume 2 doesn't disappoint either. But now you know all the weird console escapades of Metal Gear Solid. Let me know if I missed anything. Other than that, I'll catch you in the next one.